The Texas Longhorns go on the road. It's a very tough place to play, Patrick, and they got a big win over Cowbell and them Bulldogs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're gonna bring Roger here in a second,
Yep.
but I'm sure his ears are probably still ringing from Starkville.
He made the trip from Austin, Texas, to Tupelo, Mississippi to Starkville. Roger, it's good to see you all back in one piece, coming back from an airline that none of us had heard of. But you made it back home with the win. Let's just talk what this win means for this program. The way that they were able to get the win. Last week, a game against Kentucky, 16-13. If you're just looking at the scoreboard, you're not very impressed. But the way that they were able to get it done against the Wildcats, and then this week, the way they're able to get it done, erasing a 17-point deficit to be able to get the win this week. What did you make of their performance there in Starkville?
Yeah, you said it. Get it done. Just find a way. I mean, Tennessee, they had to escape Starkville with an overtime win as well. We go back to Lexington. Ole Miss had to escape with a one-score win as well from Lexington. Somehow Texas doesn't seem to get that benefit of the doubt perception nationally of escaping with a win. It's always about how they do it, what they look like. Why aren't they better offensively? Mm-hmm. What's wrong with Arch Manning? What's wrong with Sark's play calling? What was wrong with the defense suddenly against Mississippi State? But they did. So they go 3-1 on this odyssey. They will play Saturday Vanderbilt at home, first time at home in 42 days. I had a hunch it was going to be a tough game. Mississippi State, what happened against Florida? Blake Shapen, he played against Texas when he was at Baylor. He didn't play last year.
Right.
When he was at Mississippi State. He was hurt. I had a hunch that they would play really well. They had a couple of former Longhorns, actually three that were very productive. Brendan Thompson, Dre Bledsoe, and Darren Gillette all had big moments in the game. Mm-hmm. Jeff Lebby and his ties, opposite Texas. But eventually, we say it every week, you just don't want to be that team. Texas was that team against Florida. They avoided being that team against Kentucky and Mississippi State, and now a tougher stretch to close the season with 4 games.
Absolutely. And at the beginning of the season and towards the middle of the season, Arch Manning really took a lot of lumps as far as the way he played. But for those that are, I say what's the old saying that the energy, like whenever things are going well, needs to be the same as when things are not going well. I have to give him his credit. More than 300 passing yards. He looked sensational before going out, obviously, with a concussion. What did you make of his performance all the way up until that moment, and where he stands now and where the program stands now offensively as they go into, as you mentioned, a gauntlet of a stretch here starting with Vanderbilt?
Yeah, and again, just to update you, Sark said he did not practice today. He's in protocol. That takes all the decision-making out of anybody except doctors' hands, and we don't know. So Matthew Caldwell took the 1 snaps. KJ Lacey took the 2 snaps, and, that's where we are. But obviously that was a big moment for Arch, what he did, especially in the fourth quarter, coming up with big plays. Even the play where he got injured was a scramble down to the 5-yard line in overtime, took a huge hit, had hit the turf, and he was done for the rest of the game. But I think, and he even, when he walked off the field after being in the medical tent, he was pumping his fists, and it was funny. Caldwell said, I told Arch I wish he could have finished it for the way he played, maybe a little window into what Matthew Caldwell's all about. But I think Arch is, regardless of, if he can play this week or not, that was a big moment for him going forward to do it in the fourth quarter, to come up with big chunk plays. That throw off schedule deep to Ryan Wingo in the fourth quarter was huge to set up a touchdown. Made some great touch passes to Parker Livingston, 2 different touchdowns, 1 to Emmett Mosley. So big confidence builder, and when you know it, right when that happens, he gets hurt, and we don't know his status. But again, this is a team that has found ways to win in different ways, and this time it was with the offense, and then 4 straight stops on defense down the stretch against the Mississippi State team that was, they were moving up and down the field at will in the second half on them.
Yeah, and Mississippi State's offense really strong going into it. This reminds me a little bit of what happened last year when Quinn Ewers goes down. Arch took advantage of the opportunities. For the world that does not know much about Matthew Caldwell, what are some of his traits? Obviously, the box score speaks for itself: 1 for 1, 10 yards, and a touchdown. But what are his strengths and some of the ways that they'll utilize him if he's the guy that has to play at least next week?
Yeah, he's from Auburn, Alabama. He started at Jacksonville State. Then he went to Troy, started 5 games at Troy last year, and then was looking for a different landing spot. And I think Sark really wanted a veteran. He has 2 young guys, KJ Lacey, I mentioned, the freshman, and a sophomore, Trey Owens, from the Houston area. But, I mean, he's not had a season here where his quarterback hasn't missed a start. Mm-hmm. So I think he felt more comfortable if he could find a veteran. And Caldwell came in. And you know, he came in the Florida game on that last drive when they were down 8 points, and Arch's helmet came off, so he had to come out for a play. And all Caldwell does is sprint out there, take a snap, and throw a dart to Ryan Wingo for a 26-yard gain, and then, you know, gives way to Arch. So his 2 biggest moments, he certainly produced. And, you know, that touchdown was an audible. He and Mosley made some eye contact and a little hand signal. If you go back and watch it, you can see it. That was an audible to throw that fade. So those are heat of the battle, you know, adrenaline. Now, you know, assuming Arch doesn't go, he's taking the 1 snaps today, tomorrow, probably Wednesday, regardless. So now he's got a week to prepare, but he's also got a week to think about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And he's going to do it at home against a really good Vanderbilt team and a really good defense. So you never know how that affects him. But he was productive at Troy, and we've learned, Ole Miss, doesn't matter where you played quarterback.
Yes.
You know, you could come in and produce. So I don't think, you know, that was the stigma maybe 5-10 years ago. Oh, well, they did it at FCS or Division II. Right. That's not the same. Now we see that it can translate. So we'll see. We'll see if the running game has improved at all. C.J. Baxter, remember, Trey Wisner came back against Florida, wasn't terribly productive. Then his second game back, he was much more productive against Oklahoma. Maybe that happens with C.J. Baxter as well. But, you know, probably not going to have Michael Taff again in the secondary with the broken fingers. So they're banged up. Offensive line's beat up a little bit. But, you know, they do come home and play at home for 1 week before a bye week and then go into Athens.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk a little bit about the going back to Austin here in a second. We got a chance to hear from Steve Sarkisian about Matthew Caldwell.
Good thing for Matt, he's a very even-keeled guy. I thought he had a great practice today. I think, you know, the players have a lot of confidence in him. I think it's his maturity, his approach. You know, he's very engaged even when he doesn't play. If you ever watched our sidelines in game, 18 is probably the most engaged player on that sidelines. He's always picking guys up, offense, defense, special teams. You know, and so he's got a really good relationship with the guys. And so I don't think it's like, well, who's this guy? You know, he's in a lot of faces a lot of the times. And so it felt very comfortable, felt very normal. Today was a guy who just wanted an opportunity. And that's what we were looking for, a guy who had taken some snaps in college football. And then that's how he's performed, you know, since the day he got here. That's the way he's worked at it throughout camp and throughout the season. And he's making the most of his opportunity.
Roger, before we move on here to Vanderbilt, I want to highlight a guy that it seems like we've started talking about him a little bit more recently, and Ryan Niblett. Now, you know, you're in Austin, Texas. There's a guy just up the road in Arlington named Cavante Turpin that really burst onto the scene after being a returner. Is he kind of following that same suit here?
He's pretty electric, and what he's done in 3 games is pretty remarkable. When you can point to a punt returner in 3 games in a row and said if they weren't the key, they were one of just a handful of keys to a victory. Turpin, I think, is a little more electric and slippery. Niblett's just really good, and he knows how to read the blocks. Now, he's fast, but I think Turpin's kind of maybe that next level guy. But Niblett's a little bit bigger than Cavante Turpin. It's the first time a Longhorns returned 2 punts for touchdowns in a season since Jordan Shipley, so you're going back to 08-09 era. But the fact that he has done it in the times of the game, and specifically this one, under 2 minutes to go, and Sark answered the question, kind of defending Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State, saying it's easier said than done to kick away from a guy and not let him return it, because then the precision, you don't get a good punt. Maybe it's a 20, 25-yard punt out of bounds. You're giving a team a short field. I still contend with 2 minutes to go, I wouldn't kick to this guy.
No exactly.
I still wouldn't do it. And I'd say, okay, try your luck on defense, because then you get a chance to, you know, even if the team drives, they got to get to the end zone.
Yep.
Niblett, 1 home run, and he's to the end zone. And watch that play. And there's the last guy on their 51. His name was Marshall Landwehr. He was one of those great training camp, surprise him with a scholarship, videos that came out from training camp this summer. He earned that scholarship on one block, that one on Saturday.
Absolutely. Special teams has been a big factor for this football team. The offenses look good. The defenses look solid as well in spurts and in moments. You mentioned it, first time in more than 40 days this team is coming back home, but the road doesn't get any easier as a top 10 team comes into Austin this week against Vanderbilt. I find it interesting that obviously Vegas knows that there's concussion protocol and there's a chance that there is no Arch Manning in this football game, but still Texas is a 1.5 point favorite going into this matchup. What do you make here of another chance, another opportunity not to just get a big win in the SEC, but upset one of the hottest teams in the country?
Yeah, doesn't it sound funny? Texas upsetting Vanderbilt.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, just look at my alma mater. They're sitting at 2 in the country, but that's another story. They were 0-11 when I was a senior.
Right.
Yeah, this is the one that, okay, you can really help validate what's happened the last 3 weeks. If you can beat a rugged Vanderbilt team. Pavia, he wants another shot at Texas. Came close last year. That was their first home game since the Alabama game last year, and Texas came in. They jumped on Vanderbilt, and then it turned into a pretty tight ball game, and Vanderbilt had a chance. Longhorns made some big plays, but that was a game where Quinn Ewers came up big. DeAndre Moore had a couple of touchdowns, and they made some big stops on Pavia. Now, Missouri held them to 17 points. That was kind of a rough and tumble game, and I think Texas is pretty confident in their defense. But not only Pavia, it's going to be a big moment for their running back as well, coming back to Austin. And, Eli Stowers, a former Aggie. So Alexander is who I'm talking about for Vanderbilt. It's going to be a tough one. It's 11 a.m. at home. You're going to make sure that the Texas fans are ready to roll at 11. They've had some good success in early ball games. Texas fans would say they've had to play too many over the years with that Big 12 schedule. But yeah, this is so big because if you can get this one, you get to 7-2, 4-1
right
to the bye week. And then, you go to Georgia. That's going to be a tall task no matter what. But then, you come home for Arkansas and A&M. So this is a pretty 3 weeks in a row we've been saying this, but pretty pivotal game for them.
Yeah, no question. Before Saturday's kickoff, something really interesting happened, and Diana Rossini, a veteran reporter, came out with a report, and it essentially said that Coach Sarkisian is interested as a possible replacement for one of the head coaching jobs. Namely, looked like the Tennessee job was the one, the Titans job was the one that was she was connecting him to. There was nothing definitive in the report, but a lot of people, obviously, ran with it. What do you make, obviously, of the reporting? I know that Sark has done his job of being able to shut these things down, but what did you make of the news when it first came out, and how valid do you think it is?
Well, the problem is that there's really no way to disprove it because we don't know in what manner she got the information that it happened. And there's something so simple as I don't even know what could happen in a conversation that could make the report, quote unquote, accurate or not. But for it to happen on Saturday morning, players are getting on their phones when they get up.
Yeah.
And that's what took over Twitter for, about an hour, to the point where Jimmy Sexton's company has to put out a statement. How many times have we seen that? Yeah. I can't ever remember seeing a statement refuting a report about a report that really wasn't anything concrete. Correct. As far as they said this to them. So it was it was a weird situation. But guys, I've been around Texas. It seems if there's weird, it's going to find Texas. And they always have something that they're dealing with. And it goes back to my first year covering Texas at the Sugar Bowl. And it was discovered they had an imposter on their roster that took the identity of a former junior college teammate and played an entire season. And then the story broke 2 days before the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, and he left. I mean, that's my baseline, guys, for things that, this can't be possible. I said, go back to 1995 Sugar Bowl 2 days before, and Ron Weaver was actually Ron McKelvey. And you don't discard anything. So it just seems to follow Texas, and with Sark's connection to the NFL, with the Atlanta Falcons, with the Oakland Raiders, It's an easy dot to connect
Right.
that he might be interested because, again, what does that mean? Might be interested.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
we all might be interested in
correct.
something,
Yes,
but
yes.
nobody cares what we're interested in.
It was.
But you know who does?
Was that
Other coaches recruiting against Sark.
100%, 100%, and that's where it could really hurt Sark. But as you said, he got out ahead of it. Jimmy Sexton and their group got ahead of it as well. Before we let you go, one final thing as it relates to coaching. There are now 3 jobs in the SEC now open with the firing of Brian Kelly at LSU. Number one, what did you make of this firing? And being in the league as long as you can, as long as you have been, what do you make of the landscape right now where all these major jobs, including Penn State, including UCLA, now all open before Halloween?
It's staggering to think that, yeah, in October, LSU, Florida, and Penn State. I won't even put UCLA in that category,
Correct.
and that's certainly one that would get your attention a lot if those other ones weren't open. Virginia Tech and Oklahoma State. So, you know, Brian Kelly was a weird fit from Notre Dame from the start, and then you know, they just couldn't win big games. But it is going to be a feeding frenzy. And I don't know what to make of it because I thought, and I think a lot of people thought, NIL would work in what has turned into be the opposite way. I thought, okay, the money needs to go so much more now to the athletes that we can't afford these buyouts. It seems like it's just the opposite. If things are going bad, we got to flip the script, and we've got to get the money people even more back on our side. If they're grumbling because the faucet might come off. So then all of a sudden you've got what you've got here, and my hunch it's not going to end. I know one place that they're you know, you look at that Oklahoma schedule, and you know, even though they started out well, number 6 in the country, but look what they did. They scored 24 against a Michigan team that was start 2 for Bryce Underwood. And they scored 24 against an Auburn team, both at home, not overwhelming, but John Mateer got a little bit of pub because of the way he plays, and all of a sudden he's a Heisman guy. And now they've still got to go into the belly of the beast of their schedule. And Brent Venables has been a guy that Oklahoma fans have been, you know, kind of grumbling about, especially when he loses to Sark 3 out of 5 years. And, you know, again, they don't score a touchdown. That's 3 games. He's lost to Sark, and they haven't scored a touchdown.
Exactly. Now, it should be really interesting to keep your eye on, of course, that Oklahoma job as well. And you mentioned it, the 3 others that are in the SEC alone. Of course, it'll be really interesting to follow as we move forward. Roger.
Oh, by the way, Arkansas is open too.
And Arkansas,
when you mentioned them.
It's almost like the forgot about job. I mean, because of all the high-profile jobs that are open. Roger, thank you so much for your time here on Southeast Sports Plus today.
All right, thanks, guys. Talk to you.
Absolutely.